Hello there. This is Heirs to the Kingdom channel. And today's lesson we're in Ecclesiastes chapter 2. If you're new to this is a Bible study channel. And so, if you don't know much about the Bible and you just clicked on this and you want to learn, you can stick around. I do recommend starting off in Genesis chapter 1 on my channel and getting caught up. But if you want to stick around, no problem. It's just, the reason being is there's a lot of things that we've already went through, that it helps you understand as you go along. So, if you get a little lost in the lesson, I do apologize, but as I said, if you start at Genesis chapter 1 and get caught up, it'll all make sense. So, let's go ahead and get started in this one. A little bit to read, but it's very straightforward reading. The title of this one is about vanity. It's called The Vanity of Pleasure. And as we read through this lesson, you're going to realize that everything we do in life, there's vanity to it. We really can't get away from it because we have to do things for our lives so that we can live our lives. And there's always a hint of vanity in it. Whether it's the food you eat or prepare to eat, is to be pleasurable to eat. There's vanity in that. The clothes you buy, there's always going to be a part of it to where you worry about how it looks on you. That's vanity in that. To the house you have, how it's decorated, to if you are homesteading type, if you have orchards or livestock, stuff like that, there's things done with those there's a bit of vanity in that as well. This is why God always says that, no one is guiltless. All have sinned and all fall short in the glory of the Lord. It's very troublesome when you have options in life. It really is, because you normally choose things that you think will look nice on you or be good for you or this, that, and the other, that it, there's always a hint of there that it may impress someone else. Or you do it straight for self-pleasure, which is vanity as well. We all fall into this. And, as this chapter will point out. So we're pretty much going to read straight through it. There's only one word that's kind of new. It says the mirth. And mirth means with kind of like with pleasure. Something of that area. It's falls in. It's like amusement. I'm going to read the actual diction. I looked it up a little bit. I'm going to read the actual definition. It said amusement, especially as expressed in laughter. So, it said it falls into that category of, I will approve thee with amusement. I was looking at the origin of the word, and the mirth is Old English. Now we have a different way of spelling it, which also you have the English word and the Germanic word. So you have the mirth and merry, and it comes together and makes the word mirth. So it's kind of like it's a little bit newer word than using the word merry. Being merry about something, being, amused or joyful about it. Stuff like that. So, anyways. So that word's in here. We haven't went through that word yet. So, That's where it's one thing I'm just going to stop at and go ahead and say, because it's it, right. It starts off using this word. The rest are self-explanatory from my remembrance of studying. But you'll see that even in your search of knowledge and wisdom, there's always a hint of vanity in it. To be better at your job or to make money for your family or this, that, and the other, there's always a bit of vanity in it. You know, so on and so forth. So we'll go ahead and read through this. There's 26 verses. And so, anyways, verse 1 of chapter 2 of Ecclesiastes. I said the title of this is The Vanity of Pleasure. I said in mine heart, go to now, I will prove thee with mirth. Therefore enjoy pleasure, and behold, this also is vanity. I said of laughter, it is mad, and with mirth, what doeth it? I sought in mine heart to give myself unto wine, yet acquainting mine heart with wisdom, and to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was that good for the sons of men, which they should do under the heaven all the days of their life. I made me great works, I builded me houses, I planted me vineyards. Now, a quick pause here. I will say, we will notice this from the eyes of someone that has become successful. They don't fall into the same category as people that are just normal laborers. Like if you're a servant to a very successful person, your lifestyle is going to be a little bit different than this. A lot of times we buy stuff that kind of still looks okay, whatever, presentable, but it's also what we can afford. You know, stuff of that nature too. So, I said, you notice from the first part about building houses and vineyards and everything else, this is what rich people get to do. Poor people don't get to do this type of stuff. So anyways, verse 5. I made me gardens and orchards, and I planted trees in them of all kind of fruits. I made me pools of water, to water therewith the wood that bringeth forth trees. I got me servants and maidens, and had servants born in my house. Also I had great possessions of great and small cattle above all that were in Jerusalem before me. Now going back to the other parts, so I got me servants and maidens, and had servants born in my house. So this is while before, I think I was still kind of correct about the maidens part. They were still virgin women, but they could also be servants, not just daughters. So we can kind of read from this, because here the servants would be men and the maidens would be female servants that were the virgins, and then they had servants born in their house. Because as I said, God has never really been fully against volunteer slavery. He has been against forced slavery unless it's used as punishment. But if you voluntarily enslave yourself to somebody because you can't do good for yourself, but they can do better for you, that's still allowed. God does not go against that. Even Jesus doesn't go against that. But remember, forced to do something and then you voluntarily choose to do something is two totally different things. Anyways, continue on verse 8. I gathered me also silver and gold, and the peculiar treasure of kings and of the provinces. I gat me men singers and women singers, and the delights of the sons of men as musical instruments, and that of all sorts. Now I got to remember, this is also coming from King Solomon. We've already determined that Ecclesiastes will start off written by King Lemuel, which said other things, saying that this was believed to be another name for King Solomon. He called himself the son of David, but also king of Israel. So it has to be King Solomon. It doesn't speak of himself as being the son of King Solomon. Anyways. So when you have somebody in that position of power and everything else, almost everything they do will have a bit of vanity to it. So anyways, verse 9. So I was great and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me. And whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them. I withheld not my heart from any joy, for my heart rejoiced in all my labor, and this was my portion of all my labor. Then I looked on all the works that my hands had wrought, and on the labor that I had labored to do, and behold, all was vanity and vexation of spirit, and there was no profit under the sun. And I turned myself to behold wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the man do that cometh after the king? Even that which hath been already done. Then I saw that wisdom excelleth folly, as far as light excelleth darkness. The wise man's eyes are in his head, but the fool walketh in darkness. And I myself perceived also that one event happeneth to them all. Then said I in my heart, as it happeneth to the fool, so it happeneth even to me. And why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart that this also is vanity. For there is no remembrance of the wise more than of the fool forever. Seeing that which now is in the days to come shall all be forgotten, and how dieth the wise man as the fool. Therefore I hated life, because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous unto me. For all is vanity and vexation of spirit. Yea, I hated all my labor which I had taken under the sun, because I should leave it unto the man that shall be after me. And who knoweth whether he shall be a wise man or a fool? Yet shall he have rule over all my labor wherein I have labored, and wherein I have showed myself wise under the sun. This is also vanity. So far we've covered of doing stuff that always pleases your eye, working long and hard to have all this stuff. That's vanity, because that's its purpose. See, the one thing kings normally end up doing is neglecting their children, because they're so busy with everything else, they have other people raise their children. Rich people today still send off their children to boarding schools and this, that, and the other. It's someone else raising their children. They're handing off their responsibilities because they want to do something else for themselves. Like a lot of people sitting there say, well, I have this expensive house to pay for, so I must work hard. I'm like, well, if you didn't have such an expensive house, you wouldn't have to work as hard. As I said, poor people can see how this is vanity. Successful people, they need to be taught that what they're doing is vanity, in a sense. But even with poor people, things that we do is still got vanity. We're still vanity in it. It's like me as a professional mechanic. When I had to do stuff with wiring harnesses or this, that, and the other and stuff, I made sure. Even I used to custom build computers when it was more of a thing back in the day. Everything had to be routed properly, had to look good. And that's based in vanity. But it was also part of the job to do good work. So the job itself had vanity in it. But it's also, as I said, It's easy to look back upon and see how things were. But I say, even people, middle class or poor, this, that, and the other, we want to get promoted, so we got to do things that impress the bosses so we can get promotions, which is another section of vanity. So that's why it says another one, so vanity, vanity, vanity. All of life is vanity. Because it is. But let's continue on here. 20. Therefore I went about to cause my heart to despair of all the labor which I took under the sun. For there is a man whose labor is in wisdom, and in knowledge, and in equity. Yet to a man that hath not labored therein shall he leave it for his portion. This also is vanity and a great evil. So in 21 there, that's talking about people that use their mind to get out of work but yet still live. So their labor is in wisdom and in knowledge and in equity. But they have not labored. And so it's like, the Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat. That's how it's supposed to be. There's always something anybody and everybody can do, some type of labor. A good leader, even with somebody that has disabilities, will still have a spot for them to do something that benefits, society a little, of some sort. But let's continue on. 22. For what hath man of all his labor and of the vexation of his heart wherein he hath labored under the sun? For all his days are sorrows, and his travail grief. Yea, his heart taketh not rest in the night. This is also vanity. There is nothing better for a man than that he should eat and drink, and that he should make his soul enjoy good in his labor. This also I saw, that it was from the hand of God. For who can eat, or who else can hasten hereunto more than I? For God giveth to a man that is good in his sight wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner he giveth travail to gather and to heap up, that he may give to him that is good before God. This also is vanity and vexation of spirit. So, it says, it's a little bit of a slap in the face passage here. But in that last part, in their time, if they saw somebody that was suffering in life, they called them a sinner. They said they must be doing something wrong. And it says, well, I don't have these problems, so I must be doing good. That makes me better than this person. That's vanity. Like some people have sorrows in life, some people don't. And some things, the sorrow is there to help teach them to be a better Christian. And for other people that don't have problems, it isn't that God's blessing them, it's Satan is blessing them to keep them right where he wants them because they think they're good to go. But there's a lot to go through on that. Well, I can say a lot to go through, but there's a lot of information to let us know that, this reinforces the other part of the Bible where it says vanity, 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 all of life is vanity. Everything we do has some vanity in it. Even some things the poor does. Because, we're still trying to impress our bosses or whatever else. Because poor people deal a lot about being thumbed. There, people thumb their noses up at poor people because they think that, well, you're beneath me, you're not worthy of me, and blah, blah, blah. So it leaves poor people wanting. And we have to fight these urges of wanting. Because we're normally wanting the wrong thing. We're wanting to impress or show those people I'm just as good as you, blah, blah, blah. You know, peer pressure causes vanity. Sibling rivalry causes vanity. Rivalry between husband and wife causes vanity. You know, it's very hard to get away from it completely. You know, it's almost everything we do. We always worry about how it looks, what someone else will think of it. We do. No matter what we do, we always worry about what someone else thinks of it. You know, that falls into vanity as well. I venture to say, even if we worry about what God thinks of it, it falls into some type of vanity. You know, is this pleasing to the Lord? And we're supposed to be asking the question, is this of the Lord? You know, we always have that dilemma of a question in almost everything we do in life. Is this of the Lord or is it pleasing to the Lord? You know, I don't want the Lord to think bad about this. I don't want my neighbors to think bad about my yard. I don't, you know. Oh, men get into this real bad too. Just got to have that mower looking a certain way and being nice and pretty and shiny, and got to mow that yard. I do it every single summer. Time to mow the grass. Oh, I got to make my yard look good. I'm doing vanity, and it's like I don't really mean to, but I want my yard to be properly kept. The reason for this, keeping yards and stuff, it came in because of snakes. Tall grass has, you know, predators in it of all sorts of types. Tigers hide in it. Coyotes hide in it. Wolves, bears. Many things hide in the tall grass. Stuff that takes your livestock, stuff that can take you. Then you have the fleas and ticks and all the other little things in there. So it came from doing stuff like that. Maintaining your yard is to keep your family safe. And then we got to do it a certain way so it looks proper. That's where the vanity started coming in at. Anywho, you got the idea. Pretty much almost everything we do, we worry about how it looks and how it may appear to someone else. So there's vanity in it, in almost everything we do. You know. But for good workers, you know, I don't know if there's such of a thing of good vanity in there, because when you do a good job and you want it to look good too, then people look and says, well, I know the job was done right. Look, because I know so-and-so did this because this is the way they do things. Look how well they made it look. Then, you know, is there good vanity? Is all vanity bad? I don't think so. I think there can be some good vanity if it's for the right reason. Maybe. I don't know. But I guess that's something I have to pray about and ponder on more with the Lord. As I said, being a master technician and stuff like that in the past, your work has to look good. It has to impress the customer. You know, it's part of the job. Like building houses and doing plumbing and electrical work, this, that, and the other. You know, you want the work to look good in the walls too, even if sheetrock's covering it. You know, I do feel that there's some vanity that is possibly a positive. But yeah, that's the end of the lesson. as you can tell from the little picture there at the end. We went through that before. That's what in these PowerPoints. What I get from the the DVD Bible that I have. But still, I hope you enjoyed the lesson. I said it's a little short one. We're finishing before 30 minutes, so I'm going to be quiet and just end this lesson. So remember to pray. Pray about knowledge. Pray about understanding vanity. Is there good vanity? Is there bad vanity? Because I'm going to be praying about that. The more I think about it, the more it's like my head's, my little gears in my head just click, 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 click. It's all going around. It's like, is there? Is there not? Is it all bad? Can some of it be good? It's like, but anyways, So remember to pray. We got to pray for the lost. 2024 is fixing to end. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. And after that will be 2025, come Wednesday. But yeah, so tomorrow will be the last video of the year. Yeah, I don't have much of a life or friends or this, that, and the other to hang out with. So, even if I did, I choose to do God's work. I want to get that done. Spreading the gospel is very important. People need to understand what God wants us to do. People need to understand His commandments and statutes. That's why I say, please share this content. It may reach one person that dives deep into it, and then they could be the next Billy Graham. We never know. Or just take from what you learn here and do it for yourself, and share the gospel. But we got to spread God's word. We got to spread the message. We got to get people back to understanding that there's penalties for, societies living outside of God's ways. It's very destructive. It's vexation of spirit, as you would say. But yeah, we got to pray for the lost. Got to pray for the governments all around the world. Because your government's either leading you to hell or leading you to heaven. And I don't think there's a government today, not even in America, that's leading their people to heaven. I think every single one of them's heading the opposite direction. Because even though some of their things sound good, most of their things are always about controlling the people. And that's not what they're supposed to be there for. So yeah, we've got to pray about this too. Pray that people vote better. Pray that people look at, their candidates to be voted on and pick somebody that's, they may not speak well, they may not look all that well, but they may be godly as all get out. And that's the person that will be better leader for you. Who cares if they look like a penguin? Or they're short like a penguin, or this, that, and the other, and they're not, whatever, fierce looking and tall, or whatever. I don't know. People have the weird way they judge on people about what they vote for. A lot of it's based on looks, their height, their build, their blah blah blah. When it's supposed to be based on their character and if it's godly character or not. But yeah, we got to pray for this stuff. So. Until next time, God bless, good night, and goodbye.